Continuing on with the Adventures of Susan MeeLing, Scuba Diver Extraordinaire, Volume 1, Chapters 1 through 4, I'm going to show you some pictures. The first picture at the top is the Christmas pictures that were taken in 2008, and the picture on the bottom was taken in 2009 during the trip for the family vacation to Florida. So after going to Georgia. So that way there's some references. So this is the Christmas picture collage. This is my son, James Michael, and that's my daughter. This is my daughter, Lydia Louise. And then that's me. And then my daughter, Lydia Louise, and my son, James Michael. And this is the year of 2009. You can see the little date stamp right there in gold. So that's my son, James Michael, and that is my niece, Marissa Marie, and that is my daughter, Lydia Louise, and that is me with longer hair, but not by much, and just a different shade of red. It's really the only difference. So I'm gonna go and discuss after reading certain points up. So just one more set of pictures. So these pictures are from 4th of July in 2010. Me, my daughter Lydia Louise, and my son James Michael. It's in 2010, after the initial aspects of the Fort Worth Zoo issue at McCoy Elementary School. My son James Michael and I, and then my daughter Lydia Louise and I. And that picture is the last family picture that I had with my children and I in 2012 for Halloween. Irony, there's a movie that was my favorite movie before my head injury, and every year from the time my daughter was 3 years old and my son was 4 years old, we would watch every Halloween and every Christmas The Nightmare Before Christmas, which is really weird and an odd coinkydink. So that's my daughter Lydia Louise in 2012. That's me, their mom, trying not to cry because I knew it was our last family picture together at that time. And then my son, James Michael. And so making the best of what was possible at that time, after I had surfaced from the bottom of the ocean. But I'll get to that. So, I had gone over the pictures. The Christmas pictures were done in November of 2008 at JCPenney Portraits. The pictures at Butterfly World, somebody nearby, I had asked them if they would take a picture of all of us together. I'm sure that there's probably a security camera that will be able to zoom in on whoever that individual was in Florida. And it was the day before going to Parrot Bay in Boca Raton to go scuba diving. The next picture was the first weekend pass my daughter had earned for herself to be able to go off of the residential treatment facility area. And after what happened at Fort Worth Zoo in 2010. And so reference to that, it's kind of weird because today is the 24th of March in 2020. And, you know, it would be a weird little coinky-dink if there were individuals who had to be forced into quarantine, obviously for the COVID-19 virus, safety precautions, but to let the individuals who cause my children problems to know what it feels like in certain ways, as an example of what occurred to my daughter. And since she had to be in the facilities that she did, it'd be an odd little coinky-dink. But I had written a few books before these, and so without further ado, starting on page 24, I have written several books before the summarizing of what this book, as well as the other two for the three-part series of the Adventures of Susan MeeLing, Scuba Diver Extraordinaire by Reverend Susan MeeLing, Reverend MeeLing, that's me, Lady Dori, Belle, a few other names. Though over the course of time from 2014 through 2016, I had published, after registering through the Library of Congress, my first 8 individual books. They were all technically series. There was the 2-book series of Finding a Silver Lining by Susan MeeLing and Finding the Silver Lining by Susan MeeLing. Those 2 books have to be read together. Otherwise, you only get a portion of understanding. And then there is the Curious Children book series by Susan MeeLing, which is volume 1 would be What is a Family, and volume 2 is What's the Difference? And then there is the Kennedy Failsafe, The Kennedy Curse Fused with Science Fiction Fantasy by Susan MeeLing. That's the only one in that time frame of book writing that was a singular book, essentially. And then there was the other book series, which is the Paroxysm of the Lotus book series, which is an adult series. And there's volume 1, which is Complicated Simplicity by Susan MeeLing. Volume 2, which is Portraits of Partnerships by Susan MeeLing. And volume 3, which is Celestial Chastisements by Susan MeeLing. However, I have the Reverend title, and I've been a Reverend with the Universalist Unitarian Church since 2000, whatever the year Hurricane Katrina was, the year before or the year of. In preset volumes and the series volumes that I am in the process, or was when writing this, in the process of putting together, was the modern day book by Reverend Susan MeeLing in conjunction with the Medal of Honor artwork, art project, and paintings by Reverend Susan MeeLing. And this is another series, The Adventures of Susan MeeLing, Scuba Diver Extraordinaire by Reverend Susan MeeLing, Reverend MeeLing. So, in the modern day book, that is a explanation for some recommendations as far as what occurred during my Medal of Honor art project, and in certain regards, defining terrorism on the domestic level and giving recommendations for legal aspects, because apparently that hasn't been fully figured out at this point in time, apparently. So hopefully it was well received and known that it was in a respectful format and stuff like that. As a side point of importance, it would be a really bad idea to take out pages to re-glue them in because of that whole uploading aspect, being able to verify that sort of stuff. when it comes to the physical books. Just as a point. And then not forgetting that whole like fingerprints and oils, and then paper is extremely porous. So taking it into a vicinity that has different elements in the air, as well as like dust particles from nearby things. I mean, yeah. Anyway, but I'm sure that the law enforcement guys have that understanding far better than I can explain in words. They probably have all those words and understanding of that. But my Medal of Honor art project was not because of being infatuated with death. I'm infatuated with life. I love life. Prefer life. But those books did discuss the different aspects, such as the planning for each individual trip for each individual day during my Medal of Honor art project, as well as the traveling from one location to the next, whether in each day, as well as for the overall trip, the stops in between, whether at a gas station or a break from being in the car, etc., different states, both in reference to ones visited and planned regarding my Medal of Honor art project, the different cities traveled through and stopped in, obviously the cemeteries for the rubbings for my Medal of Honor art project artwork, the Medal of Honor recipients themselves at their particular markers where I found online, the downtime between each hotel stay for each day, including if I could sleep, and the plans for as well as the drop-offs for each of the completed Medal of Honor artwork pieces as best as I could recall. I mean, realistically, they all were either taken back to the civilian cemetery for those individuals to, of the civilian cemetery to get them to the family members, such as in Denver, Colorado, to the Crown Hill Fairmont Cemetery, or the, for some of the veteran cemeteries, but usually to the American Legion, the Disabled American Veterans, the Veterans of Foreign Wars, as well as military museums. In combination, much was able to be learned by me through, though because of how certain aspects happened, I realized not solely by me. For example, in the state of Montana, the traffic issue because of the people that were in the red Hyundai that had caused problems. In certain regards, one can also consider the reference of my creative idea for the underwater travel system is a similar equivalent of which I posted pictures of my paperwork that I drew out on my Facebook account for specific aspects. And after receiving an email from an employee saying they were from Shark Tank, saying they were not interested in an interview for their show, nor did they want to hear any of the details I had in mind and have in mind in reference for a multitude of aspects. Realistically, the Mer people are not going to let just anybody build that. And so knowing how the Mer people are, and I don't mean scuba divers in that reference, I mean actual Mer people, they can work together to change the current patterns, to move items from one area to another, thinking in reference to, you know, where the USNS Vandenberg is in the area of the Bermuda Triangle, and how, you know, there's been those little things that occur there. So the Mer people have the way of ensuring there is an understanding with humanity of the compassionate, honorable, and righteous ones that they're going to make it extremely expensive and extremely difficult for any of those things to occur. If the approval doesn't come from me directly, and that would actually mean I'd have to be in the direct process of working with it. It couldn't just be me reading these books and then people going with the idea, because the Mer people won't tolerate that, because they know who their Empress of the Ocean is. And so besides the Mer people, would not allow just anyone to find those marbleized stones and gems of the most value in comparison to the teeny tiny trinkets that have been found. I mean, don't get me wrong, there have been some larger pieces. I mean, the largest piece probably as far as a jewelry piece for a, it's about half this size, that has been allowed to be found. And it's not one of the ones that were down in the ocean for a long amount of time in comparison. So, you know, then there are pieces which this particular piece I got from Atlantis Discovered. Isn't that a little coinky-ding? I didn't ever get to wear it because there were certain issues. But if you look at all that sort of stuff, those shinies in this, so very, I do adore Atlantis Discovered. I do the guys who own that shop. So sweet. And they help so much to, but yeah, so this, it is technically a costume piece of jewelry, but think of something like this and it's just one stone this size for a single medallion piece. For a link in stone that has been sitting at the bottom of the ocean with all that compression and all those different minerals changing the way, and not gonna get it without a certain individual involved, because the mer people will play hide and go seek. They do not care about whether or not somebody calls them childish, because realistically, you don't have someone's approval out there, you're not gonna get it. You'll get what they allow you to find. And then, you know, there are the times where I would, so I'm going to take a quick little break from where I'm at on that, and I would guesstimate there'd be some individuals who, you know, I will use this as an example of like a ship full of so many shinies, but like only a not that old ship. And though with some historical pieces, you know, one day, you know, here comes the humans, you know, oh, look, we found a shiny, and, you know, let's go, you know, set up and da-da-da-da over here. And then, you know, the mer people are like, yeah, but, like, the Empress of the Ocean already landed at the bottom, and we're going to make it difficult if you keep ignoring her. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and move this over here. And it's not going to be that far, but it's going to be enough that you're going to come out and be like, well, wait, where'd it go? Where? And then they have, where'd it go? Where'd it go? Where'd this shiny? Shiny. And then, you know, oh, you got, oh, okay. Where'd it go? And that's, you know, just the, so, you know, there's certain aspects, because there are certain ships that are hypothetically in certain regions which have quite some shinies on them. And, yeah, the mer people are very protective. And so they're not gonna let just anybody. You could probably look at something else in a certain reference to exactly how that would be. And other references to lifestyle stuff in that regard. Certain ways, hypothetically speaking. But that is going to be up to page 28. So, please like this new set of official videos by me, Reverend MeeLing, Reverend Susan MeeLing, Lady Dori, Belle, several, you get the picture. Literally, since a video has moving pictures, right? And isn't it funny now that I look and see what I look like? This kind of looks like a 1950s dress, despite it being... Anyway, so share and all that sort of stuff of the videos, and I'm gonna continue reading and going on through all the different stuff. So, thanks for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe.